Right, let's have a go at simplifying this surd here then, the square root of 135. Now essentially what we're looking for is to try and take out the largest square factor that we can. Now it's not immediately obvious what's the largest square number that goes into 135, so we can use something very similar to prime factor decomposition here and just take out factors that we do know and try and see what square numbers we've got. So it's definitely in the 5 times table. So it's 5 times by, and I make that 27. Now, I've got no square numbers here, 5 and 27, but I can break 27 down to make a square number here. So I could rewrite that as 5 times 3 times 9. And the reason I've done that is because 9 is a square number. Now, notice I can't make any other squares with the 5 and the 3. That's just going to give me 15. So rewriting that, I'm going to show all my steps here. That's the same as the square root of 9 times the square root of 15, because multiplication is commutative, can be done in any order. And then what you're allowed to do with surds is write these individually with a square root sign each. So the square root of 9 times by the square root of 15. Now when you get good at this, you'll probably not include this step, but I'm showing it just for the example here, because now what we can do is we can actually square root this 9. That's why we're looking for a square number, the largest square number to take out. So the square root of 9 is just 3, and the root 15 I can't simplify any further, and we just write it without the multiplication sign, so we just write it as 3 root 15. Okay, here's one for you to have a go at. Pause the video and then see if you get the same as me. Right, okay, so I'm going to break this down again, just like on the left. So I know that it's definitely in the 10 times table. So I'm going to write it as 15 times by 10. Now remember, I'm on the lookout for square factors here. Now 15 and 10 don't appear to be square, but when I break them down further, then you'll see I can form a square number. So 15 is 5 times 3. And 10 is 5 times 2. So when you've broken it down into its factors, then you can see that we've got at some point 5 times 5, which will give us 25, which is our square factor. So I'm going to rewrite that again. So that's going to be the square root of 25. I've taken my 2 5s. And then the 3 and the 2 don't give me a square number, so I'm just going to write them as 3 times 2, which is 6. And then break it down into two square roots. So the square root of 25 times by the square root of 6. Again, when you get good at this, you'll probably not bother with this step. And then what is the square root of 25? Well, that's just 5. And then times root 6, well, we don't bother with the times sign. We just write it as 5 root 6. And then we're done.